Okay, my dears, we are gathered here to have a life update of sorts and like a spiritual debrief. Okay, so if you enjoy witchy chats and talking about ancestral healing, cosmic, shamanic sorts of things, you are in the right little pocket of the internet. So let's start with something that has become poignantly clear to me. It's an astrology topic, and I'm referring to the eclipses and like the nodes, the moon nodes shifting signs and how that impacts the theme of the eclipses for that 1.5 to 2 years. This was not something I was even aware of existing prior to like a couple years ago. I don't remember which two signs the nodes of the moon were in for the eclipse axis, but I remember that for me, that was about romantic relationship and partnership and how I was showing up in that way. And I had a reading for when the nodes shifted into the alignment that they're still in as of the filming of this video, December 27th, 2024. And this particular alignment of the nodes of the eclipse, for me, I was told like a 1.5 years ago, was about ancestral work and whatever that meant, you know? And I didn't know what that meant. I had never worked with the ancestors before in any capacity. I knew that ancestral work was like a thing, but I wasn't like reborn to do ancestral work. And it's so amazing to me how our lives unfold and unfurl before us in a way that makes it seem as though the healing and the different themes and topics and experiences that we have come up to work through, like, emerge and just appear. So I've been following and working with a contemple voice diviner for like a year. I'm not actually sure how long it's been. Definitely at least a year. I think I was following her last year when she did Singing with Amanita. But let that all be a roundabout way for me to percolate down into a topic that has puzzled me for years. I will segue to an example. I have been drinking ceremonial cacao for 3 years, and part of the cacao that I usually drink, if you have a subscription to it, you also get access to twice a week Zoom virtual circle ceremonies. And I never forgot how one of the women talked about the trees being our ancestors. I was like, what do you mean? Like, I don't understand. Coming from a very like logical, conditioned mind way of thinking, you know? It didn't jive, it didn't make sense. I was very like literal at the time, you know, like our ancestors are human beings and our bloodline, and like that's it, right? You know, that was where I was coming from. And I've been drinking cacao, and for this year and last year, my connection to and my experience of and my devotion to the elements has vastly deepened. I don't think it's something that I can really convey in words, but trust me when I say that it is felt and perceived by me and my body. Another friend said to me earlier in the year that we develop a felt sense of truth, and it's like a muscle that we flex. And that has also proven true. And I find myself more and more often being rung like a bell and knowing when I can feel truth. And I just had a mentorship session to integrate my experience of being in the divination course, Walking with Mother Earth's Dream. And it was so profound and deep and true. I've been working with another oracle of sorts. She has more of a devotional union sort of template and flavor. But I've been very inspired by her faith, you know, her relationship to God and to love. How is she related? What am I talking about? I don't know. I can't remember. Oh, just working with different people and being inspired by them, I think. Oh, channels, working with channels. And I asked that woman to read me, you know, in an oracular sort of way. And what she told me was echoed in the reading that I just had tonight. And aligned to things that I had perceived and known in my body over the years. And the older I get and the more wisdom I gain through experience, the more I realize just how amazing and profound it is to be a human being in a body on earth at this time. And my relationship to the ancestors as elements and more than people has now bloomed for me in a felt sense, in a true and deep sort of way. And it was just so potent and profound that I had to snap on the camera and come on and have a chat about it here. I also want to share that I'm really proud of myself. I am still doggedly pursuing personal development and healing and spiritual awareness, and the flavor of that for this last year or two has been all about nature and the elements and sumac calci and restoring right relationship to land. And I have remembered and discovered and unfurled a level of devotion that I did not know was inside of me. It's erupted up like mountains in an earthquake, penetrating and coming up through, surprising. What's this? Who's this? Why do I feel called to sing to nature and to the trees? And that deep devotion led me to, exploring God and Jesus a little bit, which led me to praying the rosary. I'm a big fan of praying the rosary from a earth-based, ecological, not theological kind of perspective. oh my God, don't even get me started. I started praying the rosary this summer, and like I hadn't even ever prayed it before this summer, but I had a new friend who was doing a novena for Mary Magdalene, and she invited me, and I felt called, and I had never. Praying the rosary is a lot like meditating. You go into a very peaceful, trance-like, restorative state, which I think is probably the feminine void, truthfully. Communing with the mystery. I feel like I'm a little all over here, but I just want to say, as we are wrapping up the nodes for the eclipse axis, like the ancestral shit is just like crack-a-lacking for me. And like if I ever had any doubt about like the validity of my felt sense of aspects of astrology as truth, like I no longer do. Like the patterns are undeniable, and I know that truth for me is not going to necessarily translate as like truth for you, and I think different things are true for different people, and like I don't really want to get into the weeds with that. That's kind of nebulous, but suffice it to say, I am feeling highly favored, greatly blessed, supported, provided for, loved, and nourished by this bend in my life. I feel that I am anchoring and affirming and realizing truths that I have known or suspected or wondered or just had a felt sense about in my body in ways that just make me feel like a wise crone, and like obviously I'm moving in that direction. That's the human experience if we're blessed to live long enough. So yeah, things are good over here. They've been really intense this fall and winter. Since the time change, I have struggled. And it's funny to me that I have been struggling because we are in the yin time of year. We are in the feminine time of year. This is all about rest and surrender and stillness and kind of like dying so that more can be born. But I believe that the reason I have struggled is because I live in a capitalistic society and I'm still expected to produce and work. We don't really get to rest the way that our ancestors did at this time, where they were just holed up with their families and loving each other and communing, So the struggle with capitalism and being an American continues. But, check out this miraculous metal. The Way of the Rose is one of the books that really turned me on to the rosary and this layer of my exploration of the Divine Mother. So this is like Mother Mary. What's really cool about the miraculous metal is on the back it has some symbols. Yeah, there they are. It's like an M and like a cross. But part of this is actually the symbol for Inanna, the ancient Sumerian goddess, one of perhaps the original goddesses. And so to me it feels very witchy, and it's amazing how the divine feminine never really left us. She has just been transmuting and adapting to, life as it has happened. Don't get me started on that. Yeah, I think that's it. The axis and the nodes of astrology, and like I wouldn't have really tracked, and I probably couldn't track without the lens of astrology, what the theme of my life has been from like 1.5 to 2 year increments, without astrology. But now that I am turned on to this and like paying attention to it, it's like, real, dude, it's mind-blowing. I don't know what to say about it, but just wanted to turn you on to that. So Thank you for finding this, and thank you for listening, and many blessings for the new year.